Okay, so people are still coming in, but let's start with the session. So, hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us again for the second session of the series. Today with us we have Mikul. So, let me just briefly introduce Mikul. Mikul is a sophomore and Elgiston scholar at the Columbia University, majoring in computer science and minoring in economics. His passion lies in robotics and AI and has started his robotic journey at the age of 9. He has published numerous research, patents, and also won numerous national and international awards in these fields. He will be working at a startup next month and hopes to inspire others in computer science and technology. Thank you so much for joining us, Mikul, and yeah, nice to have you on board.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you started your journey at the age of 9. Can you tell us more what led you to start your journey at such a young age?
Yeah, I think it's like a really kind of funny story because it was when I basically at one of my friends' like birthday parties, and then they had basically a little robot that brought out a cake. So it's like such a little thing that I was like really inspired by like, oh my God, it's like something on its own just bringing a cake out. So then from there, I like try to like ask like I beg my parents like, can we find something that can do something similar to this? And it basically ended up in me joining a first Lego League team, which is honestly like a really good like way to like just like start robotics. It's called FLL, the first Lego League. But anyways, that's where I like started. I joined in the middle of the season, which is kind of an odd time to join because that also means I have to learn everything. Because that age range is from the fourth grade to eighth grade. So basically, my teammates are also people in the eighth grade. So joining in the middle was kind of interesting. But like basically, that passion is what like started from there. Because I continued that like robotics team from fourth grade onwards, even till now, even in college. So like it started, the whole journey started there. And because robotics, computer science is obviously very important because you can't have a robot like hardware that doesn't do anything because you need software to do it. And also I guess like right now I'll take a time to ask a little poll. So like I want to say raise your hand like in the Zoom chat if or like the Zoom raise hand feature if you guys are interested in computer science, robotics, or at least know that you have an interest in like something. It doesn't have to be either of those fields. So, okay. So I guess this is like a few of you. I guess like I would say maybe like half. So which also means that a lot of you are still trying to explore like new fields as well, which is good, and you don't know exactly. So hopefully I'll give you guys some advice later on.
Awesome. So yeah, you mentioned how like cutting a robot cutting cake got you into computer science. But have you also seen any personal story of computer science being used for good, or at least at your personal level, or have you seen anyone else having used computer science for good, which made you continue the journey?
Yeah, I would say there's like a few things. I guess one of them is not this is not directly computer science, but slightly different was in high school there's like you can I threw with my friends and I like basically 3D printed a prosthetic arm for someone. So this was just like someone like obviously we didn't know and but we just basically got the dimensions of what the arm should be and kind of designed and 3D printed like a prosthetic arm so that this person could actually like have like a left arm to use. So that's like one like thing of just like in general of like how like robotics because it's like 3D printing is like design things like how like engineering can help other people and also like even like later on like also in high school like my research lab what we do is basically detect fake audio in like just like try to detect fake audio like if someone were to record your voice and try to play it back and then or like do malicious things with it or something like that we basically try to detect that and that's kind of like a way to like reduce scams, reduce hacking, kind of like that. So that's another way that computer science we use for good. And obviously these are just like two little things that I like directly in my life. There's like so many like things out in the world that people do. Like it's like white hat hackers, there's people who just like even just making like small code to help like their families or even like their communities and things like that. So like just like even a couple of things can just go a long way.
Awesome. You mentioned about your lab detecting fake audio, and there are numerous more such instances where technology is also being used to create more harm. So, what are your biggest concerns in the field of computer science and robotics, especially with the advent of AI?
Yeah, I would say just like the flip side is like the stereotype of just like the bad actors out there. Because obviously there's going to be good people like you guys, and there'll always be like some bad people out there that just want to cause harm or like problems, right? So just like those are stereotypes that basically I would say are also the biggest concern. Because no matter what, like even computer science, um, like you just have to like use it for good. But if like there's obviously hackers out there, even with AI, people can create like fake like deep fakes, things like that, like and it's like try to harm people that way. And with like generative AI, you can have like spam and like bots that can just generate fake like messages and spam with generative AI. So we just got to be careful like knowing like when like something is like real or something's fake. And also like even the thing of robotics, like robotics can be used as like for like to control weapons, like fly drones, do specialist things that way too. So it's like if there's people that will probably do those things, but we just have to like know to avoid like look out for those like to keep other people safe and also make sure that like trying to like keep everyone, yeah, just basically keep everyone safe and then also just learn to detect those kind of like malicious behavior. But there are ways that people can be bad, but let's try to stay away from that, I guess.
Nice. But coming back to your journey, you started at the age of 9, and you were like you must be the youngest among your team who were from grade 8. This was the age barrier, and there are more such barriers. So, can you tell what barriers did you face in your journey and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I would say like there was like an age barrier, but I would say because the team was so welcoming, that wasn't actually a real issue. But I guess that's just like in my scenarios. I know other people where that's not the case. Like being a younger member on a team could also just sometimes just be more difficult. So you just have to be more confident in yourself and believe in yourself and try to like bring out your voice, your ideas to the rest of the team. I guess like some other barriers in general, just like learning, like access and also like cost of things, because some things learning, like even just learning materials are not cheap. And even or like let's say if you want to work on a project, there's always the cost barrier to it as well. So those are there's like a couple of things. They're also not just like physical, but it's also just mental barriers, right? Like you just have to have the motivation to like want to like work on a project or continue working on something. And like if it's like something like run into a failure, like you just gotta learn not to give up. Because remember, it's only a failure if you refuse to if you used to get back up. But if you could get back up, that's not really a failure, right? That's just like a setback that you learn from. So you gotta think in that kind of direction. And same with procrastination. Like if you sometimes if you don't have your own deadlines that you can just like kind of procrastinate. Like I'm just saying because I'm speaking from my experience that you can just like tend to procrastinate things. So you kind of just gotta just set your own deadlines and try to like not procrastinate. And just like having motivation to like do projects. Like sometimes they're physical like barriers, but always there's always the mental barriers like within yourself.
Yeah, you clearly mentioned the mental barrier and physical barrier. Another good barrier which you mentioned was the high excess cost to the resources and material. And I believe you have personally also done some things to make it cheaper. What more can be done in this field of making computer science and robotics more accessible and helping others overcome these obstacles?
I would say just like in terms of like your own barriers, it's honestly just trying to like kind of get out there and then like just like personally, if you have like cost barriers or like learning barriers, learning now, compared to even just a few years ago, is kind of like so much more resource available. Like YouTube is honestly where I learned a lot of my things. Just like even sometimes like you'll be surprised what you can learn from just like watching like let's say a tech YouTube channel. Like it might seem like useless, but like sometimes that knowledge just comes back. So just learning the little things and with cost, it's like there are people or even like companies and stuff that are willing to like give grants and like sponsorships and things like that. So that's really like helpful in terms of like cost. And also part of the thing was like mentioned like cost barrier like for learning. And you can kind of like avoid that like cost barrier by like just like looking for free resources. I know it's hard. But just like making sure that you guys like just like yeah, just like coming, it's all about yourself, right? Like, I mentioned like motivation as a barrier. Just turn that around and then like just become motivation as like a reason for you to continue doing what you want to do, right? Just like motivate yourself. If you're really passionate about something, like you'll go whatever ways to like get rid of that barrier. So like for anyone in like in this like any field basically, just I think the number one like biggest thing is just like motivation, procrastination. So like just like for yourself or even for others, you can always motivate other people that they like that they want to do something and it's just you adding the extra motivation like not in a bad way but obviously in a good way is it like just beneficial and just like kind of like doing that like so like every little like step counts so like not only for yourself and for others so you can like even like the little things like add up and then like to or like increase like reduce basically just reduce barriers overall from like just like little steps.
So, yeah, you again give a lot of focus on motivation. So, what is the current advancements in computer science or robotics which is motivating you or you excited for the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, it's probably like the basic answer of like generative AI and AI, but also something that's less talked about, I think, is humanoid robots. I really think like obviously humanoid robots are like complicated and then they're like hard to build, and also they seem like why would you want a human to like do a task when you can have a specialized robot? But like when you started thinking about it, like humanoids are like basically means they're versatile. They can do anything that we can do, right? So like like there can be really like versatile in like situations that you don't want to put a human in, like so or like safety, like any like hazardous areas where obviously you just don't want to put a human in, or even just like make things easier with just like human, but that's not really a human, right? So I guess like and these like advancements are coming. I think like my prediction is like within the next like 2 years. Um, I would say, or even 2, 3 years, then like these like the humanoids will actually like have a huge impact. And I think that's like something I'm really excited to see what kind of like benefits there are. And obviously there's general robotics and like anything else in that field, but honestly like focusing on like the humanoid aspect of it. And then obviously coming back to like the generative AI, like honestly, there's still so many uses that people are still like I know it's overhyped a little bit. But there's also like so many like it does help like faster. Like I'm pretty sure like all of you guys have used like GPT or some sort of other generative AI for like some little task or the other. Like and you probably agree that even if the responses weren't that helpful, at least there's has to be at least a few times that it was beneficial to like have that kind of thing. And like just like using that kind of technology even for just like the little like the little things just like really helps add up. And I think that there's still more uses that people are still trying to find out. Like people are starting whole companies basing it off of chat. Like they use ChatGPT as its backend, but then that as a whole another array of like benefits just because someone just knows how to harness it in a good way, right? So it's just that these I think just little things that even though it's overhyped, that there are still a lot of benefits too.
We have an interesting question in chat. So Neha asks, were the initial tools and resources which you used in the starting of your learning journey in computer science and technology?
Yeah, that's actually really a really good question. Initial tools and resources, I would first say like the very most initial tool was just honestly like joining like a team, which is not really like a like proper answer. So I'll just say as YouTube, like honestly, yeah, there's a lot of like you can get like lost in like uses like shorts and things like that. But once you really find it, like if you just like Google something that like a thing that you're interested in, a YouTube video will definitely explain that, right? There's always like there's a YouTube video for basically everything. And like the more I wanted to learn, like I just started with YouTube, right? Like for computer science, I basically like just learn by another thing is also learning by doing. So like just like find there's a lot of like example projects out there and like you like again YouTube videos that explain how to code and things like that, right? That's basically how I started learning how to code, which is like online resources. And honestly, you don't really need to pay for resources when you have YouTube and other free like resources available. So I would just say number one thing YouTube and then like learn how to search like what you want, right? And even now, honestly, I've never tried this with like ChatGPT. You can use it to ask like explain you concepts. That's another way. But I would say just like you again, YouTube, just like really just like have it something and like have a topic and it's like have it like just, search it up on there and then you can figure out an explanation. And I guess another like resources would just like I guess it doesn't matter anymore, but in the past when I was younger, even like computers still weren't like everywhere, right? Like even computers at like schools were slow, things like that. And so yeah, honestly, I would just say like resources would just be online like tutorials. There's like a lot of there's good things out there like W3 schools for computer science. For robotics, honestly, it's like I would say slightly harder, but if possible, if you guys are like younger, like in like still in school, I would say um for robotics, try to join the robotics team. That's where I learned basically everything I know right now about robotics. So like for example, there's like FLL, First Lego League, First Tech Challenge, and also the other flip side is Vex IQ. And you can just like look those up. And then if you have school team, great. If not, you can start your own team. But yeah, I then obviously just like resources wise, it's just start just like basically download like some coding software. I'll recommend like Python for Python, and if you're more advanced, use VS Code. And then just like start coding. Like I'll start with Python from and then like work there for computer science.
Awesome. So, but joining a team is needed. But a lot of our audience come from countries where they do not have that infrastructure or even teams. Like things like VEX, FRC are not even heard of. Although we might chat a lot about it, but they are not as known in other countries. So, how can someone who doesn't have access to team, use online resources to like at least communicate and collaborate and learn more about these clubs or teams or competitions?
Yeah, I would still, yeah, I'm gonna circle back to like YouTube, honestly. There's also a lot, another thing I forgot to mention is like forums. Like a lot of the, let's say, like even let's say it's for like robotics teams, right? You can always, there's YouTube has like a lot of, you can also watch the competition videos, things like that on there. But honestly, something that's more important is like for like Vex, we have like a Vex, something called Vex Forum where you can have forum for there. But this is not just for like anything, right? Let's say you're doing a computer science project, you need help. There's like things like honestly, like as stupid as it sounds, Stack Overflow, you can also ask your own questions, right? I like some of the few things I was struggling on, even for my own projects. People are really helpful and you can actually solve problems on there. So that's another good way. It's like just forums in general. Like another thing was like this is obviously like for computer science a little easier cost wise because if you have a computer, you can basically do any kind of computer science project that you want to do, and then use these forums like Stack, honestly Stack Overflow, or even now ChatGPT to help you figure out mistakes and learn from them. So I would say like just like finding those kind of like things and then just try to like answer your own question that way. Like and then the way to get to more people is again using these forums. Like there's let's say if you're working on like I don't know like a robotics project, there's like gonna be like robotics forum. I can't remember like any names off the top of my head, but like there's going to be like robotics forums that you can ask on. And let's say if you're using some code on a specific GitHub that you see a lot of activity on, sometimes posting an issue on that GitHub like page will actually get you like people to like answer your questions back. So like just like making sure that you have those online resources where it's not you or some like sometimes your friends, like sometimes using your friends, honestly, if they're knowledgeable, it's actually beneficial, or even like your teachers. But if that's not the case, honestly, just going to these online resources that are just forum based where you don't know who the other person is, but you still get your questions answered is a really good way that you can just kind of like avoid like the like local kind of barriers that exist. And even like for me, forums was like the only way that my research project actually was able to get working because people around me just don't know what I'm working on, but then there's people in the world that have done something similar, right? So it's trying to leverage that kind of resources.
Awesome. So definitely, another very good point which you mentioned was the usage of forums and like contacting friends and going on other communities. Maybe it can be Discord or other website platforms where you can ask people. Now we have interesting question from Tamanna who asks what basic concept should she focus on when starting out in computer science journey.
Yeah, yes, if like let's if just starting off with computer science again, I would circle back to just like I wish I had like exact like YouTube video to like give you guys, but just like starting off like basically just like learning like how to program. Because thing about computer science, if you like don't know anything about it, is basically like you learn one programming language and that'll like extend on for like other like projects as well. So I would say like first, there's obviously like learning how like the logic of code in general, right? So like I would first recommend starting like how like Googling or like putting a YouTube video on like how to program. And then from there, like obviously you can't just watch videos and like try to like do it. You have to like do your own. So I would say honestly, downloading like PyCharm and setting up Python on your computer. Watch a video if you don't know how to do this. It'll like really like help you like speed up. There's like so many like little bugs that like a YouTube video kind of solve. But like once you have like something on your own, like or you actually sorry, you don't even have to do that. If you just go to a browser and then like there's gonna and you just like something like Google Colab or even like Replit, like some like online like editor that you don't even have to download code on your computer, like anything on your computer is probably another better way to do that. Um, that you can like start that way. Just yeah, just like start with like a video and then like try to follow what they say and also not only understanding the code but also understanding the logic behind it and try to build your knowledge that way. And then the more that you do things on your own is the more that you will learn. And sometimes another thing that I did was also like take like a big project that other people have worked on and try to implement it myself. So the code already exists when the other people have worked on it. And in this case, you can also ask questions on like, let's say you get it from GitHub, you ask questions on there as well and try to learn things that way. So there's like, I'll say there's a couple of ways to start, but just start by like just your goal is to start coding on your own, like trying things on your own, and also just online resources to figure out how to like get started or to like how to learn a specific concept. Like you can like look up how to like do a specific concept.
I think the last thing was a brilliant piece of advice to go and use some existing project and try to implement, because you have a lot of resources which exist for it, and you can go ahead and try check if you are capable of implementing it. So that's a brilliant idea. Now, Agrim has a question regarding your approach for researching problems in a particular domain and how could you build it. So could you go ahead and elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think that's like also another good question. Let's say if you like for computer science or robotics, that's obviously sometimes you can do your own projects, but also can do research, which is basically finding something new in that field, right? So in order like I guess first for like finding like research problems is like honestly, first you got to figure out what's out there, right? Number one is learning what's out there. So I would say go to like Google Scholar and try like search up the field that you're working on. Or honestly, first, even before that, I would like just do a general Google search on just like the field that you want to do. Let's say it's robotics. I'll take my project as an example, and I did an air cleaning robot, right? So basically, I would just like I would look up like air cleaning robot and then in Google first, and then just see what came up. And at the time, basically nothing came up. I mean, now it's different. There's other products, but at the time, there's nothing there. So that's kind of like one way like you start if you have an idea. If you don't have an idea, is honestly just like asking your parents. Like I got my inspiration from my parents, but also from my brothers because like he has like a couple health problems that like air cleaner air will actually help solve. So that's kind of like where I got my inspiration. So part of it is like looking up online at like papers and just general Google searches on your general interest to figure out what's there. And then you'll start noticing like a pattern of what exists. And then you once you get if you're interested in that field you start to dig deeper. If you're not, no worries. You start over and then you look at a slightly different area that you're interested in. So start with like Google searches, then with like Google Scholar searches on for like research papers. But also if you're interested in specific, like let's say I'm gonna take robotics again as an example. If you're interested in robotics, then let's say just ask your parents or your friends, probably not, maybe not friends, but like older people like your parents or like relatives or um even like say school teachers for like ideas on like robotics projects if it sounds basic, then obviously don't go into it. But if they say something that's interesting, let's start look more into it. And like honestly, like leverage the people that are around, like close to you and around you, but also like your own general interest and try to like search on it and do research on your own to figure out if that product exists. If not, can I do it with a by referencing other projects that have been done in the past, and then adding your own spin on it or like say because my robot project is just a navigating robot, right? So I was able to leverage resources on existing navigating robots to like for my project. So like try to like use what's existing to help you as well, and try to like also figure out what's new, and then try to like separate yourself from the things that are already existing.
Interesting. We have another question from Tamanna, but before that, I would like to add a follow-up question on building projects, which is if you can answer this very shortly. What are the most important factors? I believe you covered it previously while you mentioned the mental hurdles and motivation and procrastination. But apart from that, what do you believe are the say top five factors that one should keep in focus while building projects?
Oh yeah, I would say besides obviously the basic initial idea process I just mentioned is one, create a plan and like try to break it down to small pieces and sometimes focus on the now part and then worry about the later part later. That sounds stupid, but like if it's a big project, first worry about getting next step working before getting thinking about the end stage. And I think like thinking smaller is one good way. And also like again, like looking at what's there now and what you can add. Also, like, start simple. Don't go on a huge project. Well, you can, but again, start with a simple part of it and try to build your way out of it. So, like, make a plan, start simple. Also, again, try to motivate yourself by setting your own self deadlines or have someone else set deadlines for you too. It's not like, yeah, to get both the physical and the mental aspect out.
Thank you so much. We are now like short on time. We are almost at the end. So, last question from Taman. If you can answer that, what is the most unexpected project you have worked on, or maybe even the most unexpected project which you have seen? And if you can answer this in a minute or two.
Yeah. I guess it's honestly the lab that I'm working on at school right now is honestly like some like for robotics, your goal is like audit like to optimize every single computation, right? So what we do in this lab is try to go in like the very low level possible and try to make some math slightly faster so that when you're calculating how to move the arm from like here to here, to do those calculations to speed those up by like using basically math and then like low level programming. So just like few like little optimizations that kind of add up. So it like sounds silly, but like it's really unexpected to be like, oh, like obviously your goal is to just move an arm. But then when you really break it down, there's always these little things that you kind of want to like calculate and figure out how to move things faster. So you just like trying to like think about all of that, like some things you never think about, and then try to do that. And then honestly, like the lab we were able to like optimize just movement of the arm a lot, like way fast, like the calculation process is way faster than you would think. So kind of like surprising and also like a different like aspect of what computer science can kind of do, just optimization for like the little things.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's 7 IST. It was a really fantastic conversation because we never realized when we came to the end of this Q&A session. It was very interesting for me personally, and I believe even the audience has definitely liked it and asked a lot of questions. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you sometime again in future. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Thank you for having me.
If anyone wants to say anything, yeah, there's a feedback form. Mark that for your attendance and anything personally, or can everyone mention from which country are they joining? I believe we had some from the Baltics, Sub-Saharan Africa. We have Jinsol from Korea, and yeah, okay. Thank you once again, Mukul. And okay, we have Maria from Peru, America, India. Nice. Okay, thank you so much, Mukul. Thank you, everyone, and hope to see you tomorrow for others. Bye bye.